next up on the stage, we have a young man who, if you don't mind me saying, is nothing short of incredible. He's already a bit of a living legend, really. It's Mr. Tom Pidcock, who'll be on the stage shortly. Round of applause, please. What I won't do is list what he's managed to achieve over a relatively short space of time. But what we'll do before we bring him on stage is just have a look at a selection of his greatest hits. Absolutely wonderful, brilliant stuff. So we'll bring Tom on in a second, but also going to be joining us on stage is the editor of Rouleur, Ed Pickering. Ed, welcome to the stage. One of the people, of course, brought us all together. Thank you, Ed. We will be either side of the man himself, so if you could remain standing out of a mark of respect for, if that's okay, you know, it's loose, yet still slightly formal. Put your hands together. For the man in the white shoes, it's Tom Pidcock. Oh, so we got the national stripes on stage. We got red, white, and blue, haven't we? Look at that. That wasn't even in a memo. We just did that. That was just something that happened, and that's quite beautiful. I think it's a nice way to kick things off, really. Ed's probably going to do the serious questions, and I'm just going to waffle on. So hopefully we'll work something out, and we'll have a nice little presentation for you. But first up, Tom, I'm not going to ask how you are, because I've done that already in the green room, and you're absolutely fine. But what I'd like to know, that's as read, what I'd like to know is, right now, looking back over the last couple of years, and the immense amount of success you've had, what's it like being Tom Pidcock right now?
All right.
He's the king of the understatement.
No, I mean, first of all, I just see photos of the people sat here of Rouleur before. I didn't realise there was that many people on the other side of the cameras. So, yeah, hello everybody. No, I'm okay. Training for cross at the moment, starting in 2.5 weeks. So, yeah, I'm all right.
You seem to be able to take things in your stride so easily. So would it be fair to say that a lot of the things that you've achieved haven't come as a surprise to you, because you're overwhelmed, you're an exceptionally confident and gifted young man, yet you have moved through the last couple of years with, you've obviously changed a little bit, but also a lot of it doesn't seem to come as a surprise. There's clearly joy in what you've achieved, but it just seems to be almost utterly normal to you, which for the rest of us is like, wow. That's why we've got these many people we want to hear. So how is that? How do you process the success that you've had?
I think that I have very high expectations of myself almost, and only after the Olympics I actually stopped. Like, that was the first time I stopped and just kind of tried to acknowledge what I'd achieved. And I think that's, yeah, I've always just been on to the next thing. And yeah, it's taken me quite a few years to learn to, yeah, take in the big moments. But yeah, cycling moves so fast. There's always another thing. In other sports, in the Olympics, for example, there's always it's 4-year cycle for a lot of them. And yeah, in cycling, we race again in a few weeks. So, yeah, things move pretty fast.
Ed, what's your take on it?
Well, my take on it is Tom's obviously a very talented cyclist, and what I'm interested in knowing is, since you won the Olympic gold medal, you've become a kind of more known by the general sports audience and general public, and that's kind of building. You know, you want to, the most iconic stage of the Tour de France last year. Have you noticed a gradual ramping up in, not exactly pressure, but public kind of perception of you, and how do you deal with it?
Yeah, I guess you said gradual, so it is gradual, and then if something is gradual, it's kind of easy to, deal with, I guess. But yeah, sometimes it's kind of, public perception or fame, if you like. It's kind of like I like it, and at the same time I don't like it. It's weird. Like,
is it different aspects that you like and don't like, or is it the same?
Yeah, I mean, I think if people, like, at the end of the day, cycling is entertainment, and I think, you do it to entertain or to, so to have fans and thing is part of cycling, I guess. But then if, I didn't have them, it would be, I'd kind of want to grow my publicity, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Like, but then sometimes it can be too much. Like someone, like you're training and up a climb, like, and someone's coming down and they turn around, come say hello, and sometimes you just want to, just have time on your own. But it's part of the job, and it's also so nice that people like care so much that they just want to come and speak to you. Yeah. That's really nice in that way.
I saw you earlier talking in the green room to Tom Bonan, who's obviously a real icon of the sport, and I asked her just what you mentioned there about the sport, our sport being entertaining, and it is entertaining. It's especially this current era that we're I think privileged to witness and see unfold. But I asked Tom whether he felt that he needed to entertain or win races. What was the most important, and what's the most important to you? Why did you? I can't imagine you maybe imagine the success that you've got, or maybe you did. Maybe you had. I mean, some quite remarkable athletes, artists set out what they want to achieve and achieve it. But what do you think is more important, winning, or winning in a style that drives people to want to ride their bike and entertain? What do you think is more important?
Sorry, the phone. Bounce
Sorry, that was a well done, Mouldy, on the old picks there, mate.
Next question. No, of course, it's when you train, or you spend your whole kind of life training to be able to perform to your best, and of course, the ultimate goal is to win.
Yep.
But then if you can do it in a cool way and enjoy it, and I mean, that's kind of, why I started riding a bike, like doing dumb stuff. So
yeah.
The older you get, the more serious it gets, but it's nice to keep the fun, entertaining part in it, I think. Yeah,
and this year, because especially looking at the Tour de France, talking about rainbows and the Tour especially, aside from the win itself, what did you learn the most about yourself during the Tour de France? Because that's something that's a completely different level. You've got your cross, the mountain biking, single days, but the Tour is a completely different beast, isn't it? As is a Grand Tour. What did you learn the most aside from the success?
Yeah, I mean, Grand Tour is a completely different beast. Like last year after the Olympics, I went to the Vuelta and I was 5 kilos heavier than I was at the Tour this year, so it was not really a good indication of, and a good experience of the Tour, of a Grand Tour, sorry. But this year at the Tour, it kind of reminded me why it inspired me when I was like getting home from school and sitting on the sofa watching Cav win stages or Brad or Froome. It's the biggest annual sporting event in the world, and you understand why when you ride it. I think there's kind of over the last few years kind of being told that it's quite serious and stressful, but I didn't experience any of that in the Tour. We had a great time as a team, and it was good.
I'd like to talk about the Tour de France, actually. Excuse me. Your stage winner at Alpe, obviously the high point of the Tour. But watching that stage was kind of exhilarating as a cycling fan because the stage win itself was incredibly impressive. Also, the descending you did that day just caught my eye more than almost anything else in the entire Tour de France. When you went around the outside of the French rider, going down the top part of the Col du Galibier, and it just looked like you were kind of at one with everything, with the world, with your bike, with the race, and with the other riders, and with everything around you. And it looked kind of intuitive and artistic. At the same time, at the end of the stage, you were very kind of, you described it in a very controlled and almost scientific way. So I was really interested in that tension between the intuitive, artistic impression you gave and then what you said afterwards about it being quite controlled and riding steadily up Alpe. And what was your experience at that stage?
Well, the plan before the stage was for me to try and get in the break and to try and win the stage.
Well done.
It did.
Yeah, it sounds simple.
Went very well.
When that could have been the plan for 21 days, but it only worked on one day. So
right, yeah.
It doesn't happen so easily all the time.
And that kind of, I mean, it looks, the descent looked crazy. What was your, but we're watching it from the outside through a television camera. What was your experience of those moments?
I think one thing is that the Tour has so many cameras that they capture everything. So, there's probably more than just my descent going on in the Tour, but you don't always see it, especially riders who get dropped to come back. They take a lot of risks. And another thing is that we're racing on closed roads with the motorbike in front. They kind of show you how fast you can go around corners. So I don't know. I think it just looks more impressive on TV than it was, because if I was going fast,
it was pretty good still.
If I was going fast, you would
don't be too hard on yourself.
I would.
It was okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, if I was pushing, then there would have been a few sketchy moments. But
so you mentioned the word risk there, and that's because obviously your ability, your bike handling skills is almost unparalleled, really, on the contemporary scene. But okay, to use the example that Ed was just describing, and what the Tour is, aside from your win, it's those images of you descending, and it's that 15-second shot of you going around the outside in complete control. But were you, in your own mind, were you taking risks, or was that utterly? Were you on we call it the ragged edge, don't we? Physiologically, psychologically, or were you calm, or were you conscious of? Do you know what? I'm pushing the tyre grip trade-off to its very limits here, and that's ultimately what it is. Or were you like, no, I understand how the bike works. I understand how I work the machine. So, were you on the edge there, or were you like calm?
I wasn't calm, but I wasn't on the edge, no.
So you were on that cusp.
I think I'm very good at calculating risks of what I'm able to do. And of course, yes, I wanted to go down the hill as quickly as possible to get to the breakaway. But I didn't want to crash and end my Tour de France after, 12 stages. I don't even know what it was. But so yeah, I was going fast, but I was not being stupid.
Yeah.
That's my answer here.
We should talk about the stage win itself as well. It wasn't just
you
did win the stage as well. What's your perspective on having won that stage now, a few months on?
I think, well, to be honest, I remember more the crowds going up Alpe d'Huez. So my first experience of Alpe d'Huez, being the first rider going up through those crowds, and when it seemed like here to this table there was no road, and suddenly the people would move and you'd be able to ride through. That's just, I don't think you can experience that anywhere else in any other sport or anything in the world. I don't think that was pretty incredible.
And so looking ahead, looking at what you've already achieved, and I was lucky enough to be at your camp a couple of weeks ago, and Geraint was speaking to the room with Rod Ellingworth, and obviously the plan for the team is to win the Tour de France again. But when you look at the team now, take Egan Bernal out to one side, let's hope he fully recovers, but there's no guarantees there. And you want to win the team with this young group of riders, and there's no one person that stands out. But what is your feeling right now, knowing what you know about yourself, and maybe how many improvements you can make? Without asking a direct question, can you win the Tour de France? But what did you feel when that was being said? Do you think you are one of those riders that could step up and say, yeah, I want to win the Tour de France, or a Grand Tour at some point? Or do you think you know enough about yourself to make that call right now? Or are you just happy exploring? Or do you think, how much confidence do you have potentially to be a challenger in a Grand Tour?
I think it's possible, yeah. I mean...
There we go. That's good to hear. Good to hear.
No, I mean, I think I need a few years, but after this year and what I did on relatively little preparation. I mean, I had COVID 2 weeks before the tour. I missed the 2 mountain stages in Swiss, which would have been pretty key to, taking another step into the tour for, climbing.
Yeah.
This year gave me some good confidence, I think.
Yeah. Do you think that can be aligned with other goals in the sport? Because we've seen, I mean, in a way, you're emblematic of the new generation of riders who all come up, like, who aren't just specialising in one thing, who are kind of spreading themselves across more than one major or more than one kind of racing. Stage race and one-day race are kind of overlapping much more now. Do you feel that you can still do everything throughout your career, or do you feel maybe it's a good idea to focus on one thing for a bit, or how do you think it's going to play out?
I think that the 3 disciplines I do complement each other, but mentally it's quite challenging racing all year. However, they do complement. The Tour now it's so fast that I think it's different to how it was 5 years ago, and I don't think doing 1 hour cross races in the winter has a negative impact on trying to win the Tour if you can fit in the volume and stage races around that. I think. I mean, I don't know. Not an expert.
You know more than me.
Yeah.
And what right now then, Tom? All the disciplines that you've had enormous success in. I mean, and now it's really interesting what you said, that you have already an unshakable self-belief in what you can potentially do. But going back to why we all ride bikes in the first place, and also I think that the reason why there's so many people here isn't just the fact that you've won a lot of important bike races. It's the panache, it's the verve that you've shown, and it's clearly through it all is just an utter sense of joy. It's just joyous seeing you race. I don't think you maybe realise how important the way that you race is in influencing people and making people want to ride or watch or watch bike racing. But what right now, looking at you, get some pretty serious air there, what gives you the most joy out of all the disciplines, if you can? Or explain the different joys within mountain biking, cross and road. But where's the bit that you just feel, yes, this is me?
There's not much joy in that photo.
You do look quite concerned, actually, because I'm not being funny. The weight looks like you might have just. You didn't land on the front wheel there, did you?
No, but
no.
That was a bad day. Doesn't matter. We don't need to go into it. But
oh no, that was the Worlds, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but mate, you were gridded ridiculously. So cut yourself some slack.
No,
also.
I was sick.
Oh no, look at that one. Well done, Mouldy.
What was the question?
The question was, I mean, these are giving us a lot of joy right now. Let's just, blimey, look at that. Decathlon bike. Brilliant.
My first road bike, that was. I think it's 80 quid from Decathlon.
80 quid.
Won't be that now with inflation, would it?
You look look at that little face. How old were you there? About 10? Maybe
I recognise that steely determination.
Look at the confidence. It's like and also look at the way you're draping your right forearm over the handlebars. That exudes confidence, doesn't it?
I've got matching bar tape shorts and jersey as well.
I know. Yeah, wow. You should stick that on as your new avatar, mate, on social, by the way. But what gives you the most joy? Or, at the moment?
It's not the easiest question to answer, but I think, when everything's going well and I'm kind of happy with, what I'm achieving and where I am. Like if I do a good training block and I'm going well, I feel good, then I'm happy. I think as well, like when I win a race, a lot of people say like, why aren't you smiling? I think there's almost like a expectation that you have to be really happy when you win a race. I mean,
well, yeah, I am. I mean, that's the fair expectation, mate. To be honest with you.
But for me, like when I win, I'm like content. That's
right. Okay.
I'm just happy in being content in, like I've done a great job. I've won, and I'm just happy in that. I think I learned when I was a junior, when I won junior cross worlds. For a year, I dreamt of winning, like going to bed every night, winning cross worlds. And it was like a cliff. Like I just fell off a cliff afterwards because I didn't think about anything afterwards. And that's kind of taught me that, like, I have big goals and things I want to achieve, of course. I mean, as an athlete, you're not going to go anywhere unless you have big goals. But you kind of have to keep things a bit, I don't know, on a line,
Yeah.
And not big peaks and troughs. I think it's the same with everything, weight, training, I think that's kind of more healthy.
So it's a relative, it's keeping a control, isn't it, over your emotions as well as all the other aspects that are a component parts of this sport.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of know what you're good at now. I mean, we've watched you winning world titles, Olympic titles, and on outdoors, we feel maybe there's development in the Tour de France, interesting development in the Tour de France. So we know what you're good at. Are there any kind of, not exactly weaknesses, or any things you need to work on more, things that you perceive you need to kind of tick that box before you develop?
Well, I think in doing 3 disciplines of time trialing, I have not really spent any time on in the last year or 2. So that's something that we're now focusing on a bit more. I'm going to the wind tunnel next week or something. Because if you want to be good in time trials, the more time you invest, the further you go in it. It makes a massive difference. And stage racing in general, I think.
Yeah, and we've talked about getting joy from racing and riding a bike. Are those aspects a bit more of a chore, or do you find joy in those as well in kind of the learning process?
The chores are going gym work and S&C and all that stuff. Time passes so slowly, but I think time trialing I really enjoy when I have a good position and like I'm comfy on the bike. At the moment, we just have a position, and it's not really that. And I'm uncomfortable when I'm on it, and my glutes hurt and everything. So, if we can kind of work on that, it's more fun to train on it, and you feel better and more enjoyable.
And we talked primarily since we started about you from a singular perspective. We've not really mentioned anybody else. It's all centered in you, and that obviously you've got this incredible physiology coupled with a kind of otherworldly confidence. But who are the people that inspire you? Who are the people? I mean, we're social beings, aren't we? And in sport and in life and in business, we're connected. So who in the team and who in your family or your friends are people that are part of this success, part of this confidence? It can't be just done alone. So who influences you?
Well, I think now person who is kind of is involved with every success is Kurt Bogarts, my coach.
Yep. Don't
really know what to call. He kind of does everything.
Yeah.
I've been working with him for 4 years now. Even bought a house around the corner from his in Belgium. So
right. Okay. Fair enough.
I think he's fundamental to to my success now, and I guess, you know, there's a lot of people, I think, whether it be in a team, a family, whoever, but I think as well now going into a team like Ineos is, you know, we have so many experienced riders like G, like Kwiato, that you can learn. Well, I can learn so much from racing, whether they speak or you just look and learn. I think I'm quite good at looking and learning, without having to be told what to do or what to change.
That's the way a lot of us have grown up with cycling. Those who've been in clubs and have just grown up, a lot of it is innate. It's by a process of osmosis almost. You learn, and riding in the peloton, a lot of it, there's no lessons, there's no chalkboard. It's just you get in there and you basically, a succession of failures is how you learn, isn't it? And that's important. I think that's one thing we all have got, isn't it? Is that ability to learn without realizing you're learning.
Yeah, and the more you learn, the more experience you have, and experience, I guess, is quite a powerful tool.
And who do you think in the squad is something that you look to as a confidant, for example, apart from Kurt? Is there a rider that you particularly have an affinity with, or something that's important, you know, just to let off steam with? Because it's a big team, 32 riders for 2023 in Ineos. I
think, Luke Rowe, for sure. He looks after me, whether it be in the race, out of the race.
He didn't look after. Well, he did look after you the other day, didn't he? In the initiation ceremony.
Yeah,
won't go into.
Really. That's
let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Didn't look after me.
And also Kwiato, he has. His experience is invaluable, I think.
Yeah.
Speaking of the team as well, I was wondering how do you kind of fit in on an interpersonal level with them all? Because obviously with that many riders, you know, it's a big team, but they're kind of squads within the squads and groups that you kind of tend to spend more time with because of the race program. How do you fit in on a personal level with everyone, and also on a kind of what your role is within the team?
Yeah, I mean, I think of course as riders I get on with more than others, naturally. And then some riders, like Richie Porte came back in the team last year, and then I only raced with him in his last ever race in Tour of Britain. So, and then Luke Plapp's been in the team a year, and I only just met him now at October camp. So some guys like I rarely race with, and there's some guys I race with all the time. You know, like Magnus, Luke. I raced a lot with. G. Actually, I raced quite a bit with. It kind of just depends what races. I do.
And then within the team, you know, you're one of the leaders. You've had great results, but you know, are you a talker in the team meetings? How do you fit in on an interpersonal level?
I think I'm getting a bit more confident of talking in the meetings. I think mainly I leave it up to like I said, Luke or Kwiato or the older riders. I think it's difficult to be a leader and to say what you want, because it's kind of like, I don't know, I kind of feel bad for asking for stuff, but I need to learn to,
That's quite a nice quality to have, actually. There's a modesty there, isn't there? You've got this confidence, but that's very quite respectful, isn't it?
I think it kind of, maybe as a junior, I never wanted to ask anything from anybody because no one owed me anything.
Right.
They or under 23, no one was a pro, no one was getting paid, everyone had to kind of prove themselves. So out of respect, I never really, even though I was like, if I was the leader or the best rider, I wouldn't really expect that much. But maybe now everyone gets paid to do their job, so and maybe now I need to just,
And what about maybe the Tom Pidcock that we don't know much about off the bike? Is there any particular pursuit that where you can forget about riding, or are you just perpetually immersed in cycling, or do you just sometimes think, especially given the program that you set yourself, and I know you've been given a lot of freedom in Ineos to express yourself, which is enormously important, but expressing yourself within your profession, I'd imagine, has its limits. So where do you go? What space do you occupy when you just want to forget cycling just to decompress?
Recently I've started like backpacking. So in
Right,
Andorra,
okay.
go out, walk in the hills, camp for the night, me and my girlfriend, and then come back. Last time I went, got bloody shifted out off this lake by a group of cows at 3 a.m. But yeah, it's really, I don't know, it's just really like grounding. You know, going out in the nature with, well, I do take my phone. It'd be a bit stupid not to, but
well, you post on Instagram unless you saved it, so yeah.
Yeah. So it's really nice just to kind of get away and just back in touch with nature. It's that's what I've really enjoyed doing the past year in times off.
Very cool.
And that's a relatively new thing that you've...
Yeah, since, well, it's probably working out like, bought a really nice tent, nice sleeping bag. It's probably working out the same price as a 5-star hotel, but it's...
Did you get them from Decathlon as well?
No.
Is that like an ongoing deal?
Intersport.
It's Intersport, okay.
Same thing, eh?
Okay. Did you, in the tent section, did you go, because obviously you're a well-paid athlete, you know, but are you still quite thrifty, or did you go, do you know what, I'm going to spend upwards of $49.95 on a top-end tent? Did you just go for the top tent, or do you think, do you know what, I'm going to go...
I just bought the best. I think
I thought you'd
my tent weighs 950 grams.
Well, that's detail, mate. I didn't know how much a tent weighs. That's weird.
For 2 people. It's good, that, isn't it?
I guess that is
When you have to carry it 10k up a mountain, then
good point. Always a tactical plan interwoven there, Ed. Yeah, definitely.
Bring it back to cycling.
I was loving the camping concept, to be honest.
There'll be a tent exhibition in this space next week. So what's the plan for this year? Next year. We're on cycling years here, so what's your plan for the coming season?
So I start cross in 2.5 weeks at Merckx, Plas and Overijzer.
You barely finished road season.
To be fair, I'd finished road season quite early at the Tour of Britain, so I have had a fair while. Then I'm going to race till January. I don't think I'm going to race Worlds because I want time to go prepare to go into the road season. Yeah, because last year I was ill more than normal in the road season. I think partly from coming out of COVID and being a bit weaker in that sense. But I just want to kind of be a bit more robust, and then I'll kind of follow a similar pattern to this year, I guess, in the schedule, in the program.
And Tour de France being the central.
I think the biggest goal in my head is the mountain bike worlds, because I want to go back and kind of show what I'm capable of, because this year everything that went wrong could have gone wrong. I think I was at race weight and I lost 1 kilo in 5 days before the race. So I went in and I needed a gel after 2 laps, after 20 minutes, and I was already bonked. So it was a difficult race, but I want to. That's the biggest thing in my head. And then classics, Tour. I mean, of course, Tour. Need to be selected first.
Yeah. And you've had great results in the classics so far. You won Amstel Gold. I mean, you came second in Amstel Gold, and
If Flipping won that, I was commentating. It's like I was. Anyway, let's not get commentating.
What's it? We won't show the finish line.
We're not showing a photo finish of that
subject.
race.
So what, for the classics this year, what do you anticipate being the targets and things you need to learn? And
I think I don't know, to be honest. I think I'm going to do Strada, Flanders, the Ardennes, but I think Strada is my favourite race. I think Flanders last year when the crowds came back, that's a special race. I never really clicked with it when I was a kid watching. It was always like Roubaix. But Flanders in Belgium, and the fans in Belgium they're pretty incredible. It's like an experience to go and
Yeah. And what is it about Strade Bianche that you...
I don't know, just the gravel roads and the place, and I don't know what it is. It's just cool.
It's special, isn't it?
Yeah, the dust and, yeah.
I think it's almost it should be like, already it's quite a young race, should be the sixth monument, I think, anyway. But
yeah, me too.
But getting to, I've just had the signal for like 5 minutes ago, but you've, as well as all the success that you've had and your plans for the future, you've also got this lovely little, quite an interesting side project, Link My Ride. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about that and how people can maybe hook up? And essentially the genesis of that. So how did Link My Ride start up? You've got your mate Jacques here who's set that up for you. So he's somewhere in the sidelines. Well, anyway, he's here somewhere. So talk to us a little bit about that before we wrap things up.
Yeah, I mean, Jacques came to me, I don't know, 2 years ago now, and yeah, we were teammates in Wiggins and in Trinity, and yeah, Jacques he decided to stop cycling, and he came to me with an idea to create an app to kind of join cyclists together to create a platform where they can, make club rides or find club rides. And I thought, that's a pretty good idea. Let's see what we can do. And I thought, I don't really do much apart from cycling and playing on the Xbox and watching TV. I thought
buying expensive tents.
Yeah, well now I'm a bit older, but I thought I'd do some, use my brain a bit. Make my mum proud. So, so we set out on this kind of mission to create this app, and I think we launched 2 months ago or something, and this morning I think I got a message, or yesterday, from a guy saying like, it's great what you're doing. I think it's like the cure for like he said, the amount of times I've thought when I've been riding by myself and I want to find someone else to ride with. So yeah, I don't think I've explained it very well, to be honest.
No, it's basically, in summary, you can, if you download the app from the App Store, available on Android and Apple, I take it, basically wherever you are, you can put your profile and basically hook up with other riders who happen to be in the area. So you've just moved to a new area. I've just moved to Derby. I've got no mates. I have actually got one. I've got four mates. Three. But you could just hook up with people and then join them on a ride. It's basically connecting cyclists, basically. That's what it is.
I think as well, in lockdown, the amount, especially with there were less cars on the road, the amount of cyclists you saw was quite incredible. And I think it's important we try and retain those people in the sport. Yeah. And people going outside and enjoying nature and things. And I think Link My Ride, it's fine in lockdown when people are actively trying to find things to do. But now when everyone's back at work in their own bubble, it's kind of nice to give them a easier access into cycling. I think Link My Ride will do that in creating kind of a platform for them to find other people. And also, we have a club portal where people can manage their clubs, collect club fees and things, put it all in one place. It's kind of like we just want to put everything in one place and do something, make something to benefit cycling community, I guess.
And there's, I believe, because Jacques told me directly, tomorrow there's a Link My Ride with Nico Roach special guest. So if people download it now, and if they've got your bikes, you can hook up with Nico and go for a ride tomorrow morning, I believe.
I believe that is the case. There you go.
There you go. That is actually the case. I've just been given 1 minute to wrap things up. I think Ed, what a legend. I mean, he's young enough to be my lad. And
I just want to say to Tom, probably on behalf of most cycling fans, that again, watching you at the Tour de France was it kind of, if I've got one image that I remember from the entire Tour de France, and when I'm even older than I am now, and I'm looking back on that Tour de France, it will be that descent. Really kind of made me feel like a cycling fan. It made me, that image wasn't just impressive on a kind of because you were going fast. It was impressive because it made me, it hit me in the feels, I think is what the kids say. these days. So
That was very well put, Ed. I mean, it wasn't cringy at all. No,
I went into
it, bloody hell, mate. I think it hit everybody in the field. It hit the nail on the head, and I think it's what you do, Tom. Seriously, mate, and I'm sure you get a sense of how important you are to a lot of people, and what you're doing with your app as well is great. It's just unifying people. So, you're one of the finest riders in the world. You're very early doors. You've got so much more to achieve. And I think we've learned a little bit more about you today, but I think collectively we just want to wish you all the best for the future, because you are, you're important, mate, and people look to you for inspiration, and you do that very, very well. So keep doing what you're doing, mate, and thanks very much.
Thank you.
Very much indeed. Right.